Welcome to Skills to Pay Your Bills. I'm your host, Don Moragne, and this is a special segment called the Wealth Zone University. As you know, the objective of the Wealth Zone University is to change your mind about money so that you can change your financial future. The way we go about doing this is through an educational program that we call the Financial Wellness Strategy. The Financial Wellness Strategy is 5 steps. We call them financial steps, or lovingly fin steps, that we think if everyone followed could lead to financial security. And briefly, they are saving money, protecting the money that you save, making sure that money grows. Then all of us need to start conserving money, living within our means and controlling credit. And then lastly, we need to maximize on it. And that's some strategies, tax advantage strategies that we overlay on the financial goals of the person. But the most important thing we want to get across to you, that it's your responsibility to take care of your financial future. Over the last few segments, we've been talking about business because we believe that being in business is the path to financial independence. And we've also been talking about our concept of womenness, which is women-owned businesses. And today, I've got a special guest, and I think she's special because not only is she an entrepreneur, but she has a very compelling personal story. So I'd like to get you to know her. I'd like you to get to believe her, and I'd like to get you to really understand what my guest is going to share with you. So my guest is Martha Liriano. She's a real estate professional. And Martha, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you today.
Oh, my pleasure. It's my pleasure to know you.
Thank
and
you.
I do hope that during the course of our show that the audience will get to know you well also. So first of all, real estate professional. Tell us about your business and all the things that you do as a real estate professional.
Thank you. Absolutely. I am now a real estate agent for now over 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually been in the real estate industry for 14 years, originally starting off as an assistant property manager. That's actually how I was able to kind of learn the ropes of real estate, more so geared on the property management side. Since then, I have worked for a commercial real estate database company where I was able to gain a lot of my knowledge of commercial real estate that way. I was monitoring and tracking certain markets across the United States, where I even traveled and represented the research department. And so along the way, I was able to build not only great relationships with commercial brokers, but also great knowledge about how the whole concept of commercial real estate is done. And so today I'm able to help a person and a business either purchase, acquire, lease a commercial real estate in Maryland as well as Washington, D.C.
Okay. And so you specialize in commercial real estate as opposed to residential real estate, or you do both?
I do both.
Okay.
I do both. And so again, because of my background in terms of where I initially started from as an assistant property manager, moving over to a commercial real estate database company, with my background alone, I was able to gain a lot of knowledge as well as a lot of experience in real estate, covering both residential as well as commercial.
Okay. And so you sell and you help people to buy, lease, okay, commercial and residential property.
That is correct.
But you also have your own property management company.
Correct. I
Tell us
actually
about
am
that.
the CEO of BZM Property Management Group,
Okay.
where we currently manage properties across the Baltimore, Washington metropolitan area. And so they're all currently residential, and eventually the plan is that it's going to also roll into commercial properties as well.
Fantastic. Now that's what I call an entrepreneur. We take what's in our natural path and then we expand it in that natural path to do other things.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
So tell me, how did you get into real estate in the first place?
Well, my story, I guess, is pretty unique. Being on my own since I was 15 years old, I had to learn in life of how to think quickly on my feet. And so I graduated from high school. At that point, I wasn't able to, quite frankly, afford going to college. My options were pretty limited. Although within myself, I knew that I wanted to work in an office-like environment. I was introduced through a family member of a small real estate firm that was looking for a receptionist. And so that's how I was introduced to real estate, quite frankly. And so I quickly moved up to becoming that firm's assistant property manager.
Okay.
And so with that, that's how I was pretty much was just open-minded, not necessarily not knowing exactly, quite frankly, where I was going with my life, but I knew that I wanted to be in an office-like environment. When I was introduced to real estate, I then learned all the concepts about real estate. I actually learned all the different avenues in real estate that a person can actually take, and I found joy more so being on the front end of seeing all the different styles of architect, and that's really what inspired me to learning more about real estate. And so eventually in the long run, I not only discovered that I had joy in architect, but I also discovered that, in a sense, I'm actually helping people find that right match for them. And so just kind of putting the match and getting business that way, that's kind of how I've really found my joy in what I'm doing today. It's just simply knowing the different styles of architects, knowing that every family, knowing that every business is different, just pretty much matching them with that property that's meant for them.
Wow. So I want to explore two things on two veins. I want to explore the business side, but I also want to explore the Martha side, because what I heard is that you had no intention of becoming a realtor. You went into a company in an admin position, but while you were there, you took the time and opportunity to find out what that industry had to offer, not only for you, but for everyone.
Right.
Is that natural from Martha? Are you naturally inquisitive, or
I am natural at trying to learn something new.
Okay.
I am the type of person that I like to just continue learning about different avenues, learning about different things, and so that's one of the things that I admire most about real estate. That it's just so many things that you learn on a constant basis. Me now being in the industry for now 14 years, I often find myself still learning something new. And so the reality of real estate is just that it's so unpredictable. And so me, I'm the type of person that I like the change of things, and so that's pretty much how I am. It's just the fact that I'll jump into something if I'm always eager to learn something new, and as I'm learning something new, my mind opens up to seeing what else I can do different.
All right. And so I would imagine that you then read a lot of things that are inspirational and that help you determine where Martha's going to go next.
Reading that, quite frankly, had you talked to Martha 10 years ago, I would have told you I'm not a fan of reading. But over the time, as I start getting older, I do realize the importance of reading. And so I have come across 3 books which I want to share with everyone.
Oh, please do.
And I highly suggest for anyone to pick up 3 particular books.
Get a pen.
Get a pen and start jotting down. One is called Think and Grow Rich by Mr. Napoleon Hill. I know that it's been around for centuries, decades. It's been around for so long. But this book is just so inspiring in so many ways. It's not only touching a person that perhaps is considering becoming an entrepreneur, but it can actually help anyone in broad, that anyone that's perhaps finding themselves where they're at a state where they're not content with what they're doing on a daily life, as well as perhaps someone that has something within themselves that they just don't know how to bring out. And so that book, they focus on 3 different elements, which again, I think that can help any individual find their true purpose. He starts off the book with desire. Finding out what your true desire is within. Ultimately, I think that that's the first main step that any individual should want to take and understand about themselves, is finding out what it is about yourself that makes you you. Perhaps when you realize that, whatever that is that makes you happy, that gets you excited about waking up in the morning to go to, find out what that is. If there's a company that's already successful, that book will help you get in the doors of that company. And if it's perhaps a company that's not already established, maybe it'll also help you think about being the entrepreneur and creating that business. So it helps you with finding out what your true desire is. It then leads on to faith. Do you believe that you can achieve that?
Extremely important.
They're very important. And then it finishes off with auto-suggestion. When you realize what your desire is, once you set your plan and believe in yourself that you can actually accomplish it, what is it that you're auto-suggesting? What is it that you're constantly telling your mind on a daily basis in terms of achieving that goal? And so that's one book that I highly recommend. Another one is Miracle Morning by Mr. Hal Elrod. He highlights 5 different elements which he abbreviates as savers.
Savers. Mm-hmm.
And so those are actually, that's another great book that I've read, and I quite frankly keep those 2 books as my Bible. I oftentimes find myself rereading them just because you grasp so much information from both of them. And so I'm not going to jump much about what savers is because I want to save the story for them to find out.
Okay, but
Yes.
tell us, why does he think miracles are in the morning?
Very good point. Well, a person like myself who has 3 kids at home plus a husband, you just often find yourself perhaps in the midst that I don't have enough time, hours in the day to be able to accomplish and do everything that I want to do. And so Miracle Morning encourages you to start your day earlier than what you normally started at, which eventually gives you more hours in the day too. And so one of the favorite things that he helps a person understand is more so how to start your morning, with encouraging you on how to start off with silence. You'd be surprised what you can do if you take out anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour daily, focusing on yourself, focusing on what's within yourself. By you doing so, it just illuminates so many different things in your mind that can eventually lead you to ultimately finding that purpose within your own self. And so that's what he encourages in that book, is to consider starting your mornings extra early, so then that way you can have that peace and quiet time that you may not ordinarily find in your typical day.
Okay, that's not for morning people.
Right.
That's only for morning people. Now, there's one more book that that is really pertinent to the real estate professional.
Yes.
And that's called what?
The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by
All right.
Mr. Gary
I love
Keller.
that number.
Isn't it? And it's so funny because, quite frankly, I encourage that book to any person that's considering being a real estate agent. If you're at the beginning, if you're in the middle, and or if whatever phase of your career you're in, that is just such a great blueprint type of book for you to read. It encourages you and tells you pretty much the blueprint of how to be a successful real estate agent. And in reality, any person can do it, just as long as you have your plan in place, most importantly, as long as you have that mindset in place that can gear you to being open on how to successfully conduct real estate.
Now, Martha introduced me to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and I read some excerpts from it.
Okay.
And it's broader than real estate.
Okay,
It
yeah.
applies to a lot of professions,
Very true.
and it applies to life, actually.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really liked about it is that it gives a guide in so many ways to how to do business, how to do business economically, and I think it's one of the better books that I've ever been told to read. So thank you very much, Martha.
You're so welcome.
Absolutely. But we're going to explore more about Martha's career, because she has received a lot of recognition in the few years that she's been a real estate agent. And so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're going to take a break. Hi, everyone. The objective of the Wealth Zone University is to change your mind about money, to change your financial future. Hi, I'm your host, Don Moragne. In the Wealth Zone University, my guests and I talk about a wide variety of business, financial, and other worldly topics. We are seeking to both educate and entertain you. We emphasize that the informations and discussions are my opinion, perspectives, and ideas, and those of our guests. We in no way intend to deliver or provide financial, tax, or business advice. You should consult with your tax, accounting, financial, insurance, and legal advisors regarding the impact, application, or pertinence of any topic or opinion that we share on the Wealth Zone University. Thank you for being a part of our audience, and please continue to communicate with us through email and Twitter, because this is your show. Welcome back. I hope the information we gave you during the break was beneficial. We're going to continue with our fantastic conversation with Martha Liriano. 2 things I want everybody to know. This young lady has really worked hard becoming who she is today, but she's not finished. She is in the midst of growing. And so, Martha, there are recognitions that your industry has given you over the last 3 years or so that tells everyone that you are respected as a real estate agent.
Thank you.
Tell us a bit about it, please.
Yes, thank you. So as I mentioned, I've been licensed for now 9 years, but in reality, I'm actually just about to close on my 2nd year of doing it full time.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. And so during the first 2 years, because quite frankly, doing it full time is when you really get the concept and you really understand how to truly be successful as a real estate agent. During these first 2 years, I've actually been recognized as being the top listing agent in my office, as well as the top selling agent for a couple months throughout the first 2 years of me doing full time. So that was a great thing, and I thank it all to my clients who trusted me to accomplish the goal.
Okay, so let's stop there. Top listing agent means what?
That means top listing agent, meaning the top agent that has represented the most sellers within the office.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. And the other reward was top selling agent?
Meaning all in all, I was the top agent that has sold the most properties on a monthly basis. For a couple months, I was given that recognition.
Okay. So listing is representing?
The listing is on the seller side, representing the seller. Normally, most people would know it as that sign when you see it in front of someone's yard. That's classified as a listing agent.
Got it.
And so selling agent more so is the one that's representing the buyer.
Buyer side.
Yes.
Okay, good. I wanted to make that distinction so that I can understand and you could understand.
Good point.
But then there's also some more recognition that you got, which is broader, more broad. Sorry, more broad than just your expertise in the selling and listing arenas.
Yes, thank you. I was actually recently invited to be part of a mastermind panel where I was actually talking to Howard County's most prominent realtors. And so it was pretty exciting talking to them simply about the most common challenges and successes that a typical realtor would come across. So it was very inspiring to be in the room, and I was so humbled that they invited me to speak to them. It was such a great experience.
That's great. Now that you're in the real estate industry, our viewing audience is comprised of a lot of women and a lot of millennials. And we try to get them to view being in business as a way to economic self-sufficiency. How do you feel about being in real estate? You as a woman, do you think it's a career that other people should look to? Is it something that will bring them financial security? Well, what do you think about that?
Absolutely. The real estate industry is if not one of the best ways of how to help a person become financially stable, if you will, if done right, of course. And so real estate, the game of real estate, again, as I mentioned before, it's so many different avenues that can help a person become so successful. And so I would encourage anyone that's considering real estate and wanting to learn more about real estate, just as anything else, understand that real estate is really like owning your own business. And in reality, that's what it is. And so if you have the mindset and you set your plan together the right way in terms of understanding, getting as much knowledge, getting as much education as you can, you could truly be successful in it. And again, reading that Millionaire Real Estate Agent is the perfect guide to help you do so.
Right. So, but you have a double-pronged career in real estate. You help people buy, sell real estate, but you also manage properties.
Correct.
Now, am I right that you became aware of those divergent opportunities in your early years when you were doing your research as to what the industry was about?
Correct.
But what made you go from being a realtor to a property manager?
That's a good point. Quite frankly, with the knowledge, you can never put aside the knowledge that you have gained. And so as I mentioned, and that's the truth, as I mentioned, when I first started off in real estate, I learned a lot about the property management side of things. And so eventually down the road, exactly 8 years later, that's when I decided to go ahead and become a real estate agent. And so after becoming successful with selling and helping so many families as well as businesses relocate, I decided that I wanted to become that one-stop shop for anyone that's looking for anything in real estate. So if you're pretty much looking to try to sell, if you're looking to try to purchase, if you're looking to try to lease, and yet if you have a property already, but yet you just want to hire a trusted individual or trusted company that can help you lease that property to a solid tenant as well as continue managing it, that's the business that I've built today. And so I'm very pleased that I've been able to help so many individuals as well as businesses acquire as well as get involved in real estate, knowing that they have someone that really truly cares and educates them along the way. Because that is very important to me in terms of anyone that comes to me, that it's my job to educate you about real estate as you need to know it. So.
Good. So getting into real estate, becoming a licensed real estate agent for young people and women, is it a difficult process, easy process? I mean, how do you go about getting into the profession of being a realtor?
Yeah. So becoming a real estate agent is simply you doing some research to finding out where the closest classes are being provided to you. The great thing is that I know that not only are you able to take the classes online, but you're also able to take the classes during different hours of the day.
Okay.
So that's the best way of going about it if you're thinking about starting it, is simply doing research to find out, one, what's the closest location to where you are, as well as finding out the different hours of the days and how it is that you can go ahead about doing it. To my knowledge, because it's been so many years for me that I last took the class,
Sure.
to my understanding, it's about an 11-week class is what it is on average now. And so it's something that you can do a couple days out of the week as well as a couple hours of the day, so you can successfully pass the class, which will eventually educate you on how to ultimately pass that test, that state test that you then have to take for you to become that licensed real estate agent.
So the classes actually prepare you for the test.
Right.
Then you take the exam.
Correct.
And when you take the exam, do you affiliate with a particular company? Do you obviously need a broker or something
That's a
to
good
be in
point.
the industry?
Yes, after you pass the test, their system, to my knowledge, kind of connects to brokers of making them aware of someone that just became licensed. And so before that even gets into the hands of a broker, it would be a great idea for a person to already do their research in terms of finding out what are your top options of what real estate agents you want to get affiliated with.
And it seems to be an area where someone can do very well if they continue to develop themselves. And so one of the things that we talked about earlier are things that you think people need to be aware of, like improving oneself, bringing value, things that you feel people need to be aware of in the industry, but just basically that you wanted to share with people that you've done for yourself,
Correct.
continue to do, but you wanted to share. Please talk about that for me.
Yeah, thank you. Again, the industry, real estate in general, is a great industry to get into. It's evolving, it's always changing. If you're a person like me that likes constant change, that pretty much the reality is that it's unpredictable, and you love that challenge, then real estate is actually a great industry to get into. But more so, I encourage anyone that may find themselves at a place where they are not fully content with what it is that they're doing for a living, and or perhaps have some sort of anxiety within yourself that you know you want to do something different, but you just don't know where to go or how to even get started. That's what I encourage anyone that may find themselves in any of those phases to really understand what it is that you ultimately want to do in life. And so reading those books that I mentioned in the past really will help you understand who you are, respect who you are, and help you get past that fear of taking the next step. So again, I encourage anyone that's at that point to really take some time, at least take out 30 minutes on a daily basis to have that sit down, quiet moment within yourself, so you can truly understand what's within yourself, so you can go ahead and then plan on how it is that you're going to take the next step. And so again, real estate is definitely a great industry. I highly recommend it for anyone, but more so I highly recommend for you to find out what's important to you. So then that way, once we understand what's important to you, and you build that desire that this is what I want to do, then the rest is history.
Okay.
The rest is up to you to go ahead and achieve it. Because the reality, the success is there for everyone. But it all comes down to your mindset. It all comes down to what it is that you want within. How is it that you're going to set your plan? Do you believe in yourself that you can actually accomplish it? And what is it that you're constantly telling yourself? Do you have a vision board? Do you have something that can constantly remind you to gear back to that plan, so you can go ahead and ultimately become that person that you want to, that you desire within? Does that make sense?
So is that the path that you followed to your success so far?
Yes, and I've taken the lessons that I've learned in terms of real estate, in terms of life, the fact that I went into real estate open-minded. Quite frankly, what attracted me most, again, was the fact that it was an office-like environment. While learning the trade, I learned different avenues. In terms of what attracted me was the architect. And so with the knowledge that I was able to gain from there, I then realized that I'm also a person that loves to help people. And so I pretty much just matched those two things up, and that's what made me a real estate agent today. So yes, to answer your question, what I do today, absolutely, I love it because, again, I love helping people, and I love the whole different styles of architect. That's just something inside of me that I just love to put a match together. And so I truly find joy in that.
But it sounds to me that you took the time to identify who Martha was, what Martha wanted, and then you began to explore how you could take Martha and make her into something more than she was at some point in time. Is that accurate?
Not right, not
Okay,
quite.
then give it to me.
Pretty much, you know, because of my background of being on my own since I was 15, I kind of, you know, learned that I had to oftentimes think fast and think right to determine my next step.
Okay.
And so eventually, quite frankly, I was at I found myself at a point in life where I just continued going and going and going until I decided and realized things about life that was important, about picking up a book to read, to help me understand what it was that Martha wanted to do. And so when I finally took that time to really sit down and understand and respect what it was that Martha really wanted to do, I realized that I actually had it within myself the whole time.
I like
But
that.
reading those books is what helped me realize that. And so that's why I highly recommend for anyone that finds themselves in any of those categories that I just mentioned to pick up a book and consider reading it, because you never know what you can really get out of it.
So self-motivation, self-awareness, self-image, all things that you had in you, and then you're expanding it through reading and through experiences just enhanced it for you.
Correct.
Is that right?
That is correct.
And so what Martha does today is basically germinated from basically inside you, but from the self-esteem and motivation that you gave yourself.
Correct.
Great. What do you see for yourself in the future?
I see the business growing. I see me being able to educate incoming realtors to become and continue becoming their mentors and guiding them to hopefully better their lives, but more so be able to help the general public relocate. And so I definitely see my business growing and being able to sustain and have an active group that's just out here helping the DC, Maryland metropolitan area, providing humble service and helping folks relocate.
Martha, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Audience, please. We met a very dynamic person today, and hopefully you'll follow in her footsteps. Thank you for joining us. Take care.